at noon, the man accused of following orders to torture his teenage brother with special needs, leading to his death, has pled guilty. Paul Ferguson is charged with first-degree child abuse in the death of his brother, 15-year-old Timothy Ferguson. This comes a week after Paul and Timothy's mother, Shanda Vanda Ark, was found guilty in Timothy's murder. And Paul testified against his mother last week, sharing details which included force-feeding Timothy hot sauce and putting him in ice baths for hours at a time. Paul will be sentenced on January 29th.
This video contains the interrogation of a man who helped his mother starve his younger brother to death. 15-year-old Timothy Ferguson was one of 4 brothers, and in many ways fell through the cracks created by the oldest and the youngest. Timothy was also autistic and had some speech and motor impairments. This made his mother, Shanda Vander, frustrated with the extra effort it took to take care of him. As her resentment built, she began to treat him more and more harshly and enabled the help of one of her other sons, Paul. The two of them subjected Timothy to ice baths, depriving him of sleep and limiting food to hot sauce. They accused Timothy of faking any sign of medical problems and used it as an excuse to punish him more. Paul Ferguson went to check on his brother one morning after forcing him to take a 9-hour ice bath the previous day. Timothy had been placed in a bathroom closet with little clothing. When Paul opened the door, he found Timothy unresponsive. He tried resuscitation, but eventually gave up and called 911. When the medics arrived, they found Timothy dead. He was only 69 pounds, and his body showed signs of hypothermia and malnutrition.
That's a recording noise, just so that you're aware. I know there's some cameras in here, but the sound is kind of messed up. Gotcha. So I'll turn that on too, just in case it helps. Yeah. You came down here with Officer Stephanie, does that sound right?
Yes.
How did that kind of all transpire? I don't know how you ended up here.
I was, from what I know that my mother had come, I think, down here.
Okay.
Or something. I think it was something in court, or I don't exactly know the full details.
Okay.
But, she left my stepfather's phone with me. I don't have any access to anything. The only thing that I would be able to do was if the person she's with, I think his name is Stephen or
Stanley.
Frank Stanley. Yes, thank you. If he would contact, I would be able to pick that up. But
okay,
nothing else.
Were you supposed to work today, or
no?
So you didn't have work today?
No, I've got a couple of days off.
Okay. When do you go back? Saturday,
Sunday. Yeah,
okay.
I think it's a morning shift.
Are you working 2 different jobs? Did you say you're working 2 different jobs?
No, I used to work 2 different jobs.
Okay. Heard you say that.
In Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. Because I think your brother was like, I want to work 2 jobs. And you're like, no, you don't.
4 hours of sleep maximum was a nightmare.
That's a joke. That's not even funny, actually. Huh. Yeah, 4 hours doesn't sound like a lot to get anything done. What kind of jobs are you doing there?
Fast food.
Okay.
And I had one before, and then after I graduated from an alternative school early, I started a second one that was by my biological father's demands, basically.
Okay. Have you talked to him at all recently, biological father? Does he know about what's going on? Or?
I don't think quite yet. Last time we talked to him was last week.
Okay.
He and my stepmother got a divorce. So they called and let us know about all that.
What is your relationship like with him? I mean, do you associate with him at all, or not really?
Not really. I found out that a lot of what he's told me about my biological mother up here was nothing more than blatant lies.
Okay.
He said that she didn't care for me, that she never wanted to see me, which were both lies. It was just, he's a control freak.
Okay.
Labeling his father as a control freak is a pretty harsh assessment from someone who lived with a mother who kept the refrigerator chained closed.
And he's very manipulative.
Okay.
My stepmother's names were never even on anything for like paying bills or for school stuff. It was all him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he was very much in
Yes.
control of everything.
Yes. So, and, I know that night Timothy did eat because we had pizza. He had 3 slices.
Hold on,
Cheese.
I want to stop you for just a second
Yes,
because
sorry.
that's okay. I don't want to talk anything specific about the case just yet.
Okay.
Since the police showed up at your house and
Yeah.
they brought you down here, I want to provide you some rights before we talk about that sort of thing. What I do want you to know, though, is that we went through the phones, okay?
Okay.
And we're beginning to go through the phones, and there's a lot of evidence in the phones, and I know that you're kind of aware of communication between yourself and your mother.
Yes.
And those sort of things. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
But, I mean, certainly those are very serious things that you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
And, I mean, from what I saw, it sounds like you were compassionate and that you
Yes.
cared about him, and you sent some pictures that were like, he's looking too skinny and we need to feed him. And, you know, there's sometimes you get frustrated, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you kept coming back to caring.
Yeah.
But the end result is that he passed away, right? And he passed away from not eating food.
Yeah.
But I want you to be aware of this stuff, okay? So these are your Miranda rights, right? So you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk with an attorney and the right to his presence before or during any questioning. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, one will be appointed at public expense to represent you before any questioning. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When we talk about, I just jump right into it.
Yeah.
I know that we talked yesterday, and
Yeah.
I know that not everything that we talked about was the truth yesterday. That's okay. You don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel guilty about not telling the truth to me, okay? I want you to just focus on yourself right now and think about what's best for you.
Yeah.
And let's try to get to the truth of what really happened with your brother, because he deserves that. I mean, there's clearly a lot of messages about stuff that you guys are doing with him, about what he's eating, about restricting his food. How did that all work? Like, what was he allowed to eat?
We stopped the food restrictions recently because we had noticed his thin. We wanted to get that back on. We didn't want any of this. We never wanted him to be injured or hurt.
Okay.
I loved him so much.
Yeah, I can tell that. I can certainly tell that. When you say we, you're talking about your mother. And
Yes, she loved him. We wanted what's best.
Yeah.
The thing is, he was stuck in the past.
Okay. What? So you stopped the food restriction. When did that kind of happen? Like, ballpark that for me.
2 weeks, approximately. We were hoping that we could get enough where it would be safe, and then we could continue to add it back to where we wouldn't have to worry, and we could.
What were the restrictions?
We made sure that it was still something that gave him enough calories and everything. It was rice or bread, and like I said last week, he got pizza.
Okay. What were they in place for? Like, in the first place?
Sneaking food over and over and over.
Okay.
We've tried everything. We were nice. We tried different consequences, but he never listened.
What were some of the other types of consequences? Like prior to, like, are we talking like?
We did take away his devices.
Okay.
Because that was also because he wouldn't stay on his school sites and would just go and try and play games or watch YouTube.
Okay.
But the thing is, he should have been held back so much.
Yeah.
But he passed all of his final exams. So I don't think it was my stepmother. My stepmother was amazing.
Yeah.
But I believe it was my father's doing.
Okay. Helping him pass exams. Was it all online school?
No, back in Oklahoma, he went to public. The thing is, he never really did any of the other work, but when it came to final exams, he had everything he needed to know. So they let him move to the next grade, which was just...
Right. So, you guys lived together back in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
What was life like back there?
Hectic.
Okay.
My step nieces, my stepmother's grandchildren lived with us.
Okay.
because of stuff that was going on between their mother and their father. My stepmother had custody.
Yeah.
Ferguson elaborates on his family's situation, but the detective does not miss the fact that he carefully avoids mentioning the other punishments he and his mother used on Timothy.
And we had, at that point, we were living in a 4-bedroom with 8 people in the house.
Jeez.
Yeah. And
Did you share a room with him then?
yes, and it absolutely smelled. Because even then, even when the bathroom was literally just a couple feet away, he wouldn't get up and go.
Okay. And what is that? You kind of told me about it yesterday, but you said there was some sort of problem that he had that caused that, or?
Yeah.
You don't-
I mean,
you don't
I
know
don't
about it?
honestly know. That's what I've assumed.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure it's been basically his whole life that this has been happening. And it's not just that. He's urinated in places back in Oklahoma, in his closet, dressers, everything.
Okay. He's, what type of disorders does he have that you're aware of?
I know he has ADHD. I believe he has sensory processing.
Okay.
I was never there for any sort of autism spectrum test, but from what I've seen, I know that probably was a thing. I also know he was motor and speech impaired. He couldn't run right and talk right. I think when he was younger, he had to have a surgery on his ears to have tubes put in because he has heightened hearing that was very loud noises could be painful.
Okay. So too much.
Yeah. The fact is that he could hear my stepmother talking with a friend about going to a movie with the TV when it was on really high volume.
Okay.
Because one of those sort of pointers.
What about you? Do you have any of those sort of things or anything?
I have ADHD.
Okay.
And I think they said I was diagnosed with sensory processing, but from what my mother has told me, that's just no.
What is that? I'm not surprised. What's sensory processing?
It's basically when you overreact to things way too much.
Yeah.
And I guess loud noises and things and bright lights are disturbing. For me, there's not really any of that. The only problems I have is when someone's music has a lot of bass drumming in it.
Okay.
For me, that'll feel like someone's smashing my ribs with a mallet.
Okay.
That's why I don't hardly listen to music very high if it's got bass drums, because it hurts.
Yeah, that would make sense. Did you go to school?
Yes, I went to the school back in Oklahoma. I graduated from Santa Fe High School.
Okay.
I've even got the diploma and I stand in my room.
Okay. So you graduated from high school. What did you kind of do after that? You just...
I know that my father had kicked me out after, in May 2 years ago or so.
So 20, May of 20? Is that
20? Yeah, and due to COVID, the graduation had been postponed to July. And I managed to get my bio mom's number at that point and was capable of talking to her and telling her how all of this had happened.
Yeah.
And I also asked some of the things about what Dad had told me, the whole, did you really not care?
Right.
And from what he told, and I'm pretty sure it's scientifically impossible that she had her tubes undone for Gabriel, which, from what I'm guessing, that's an impossibility, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
So he's a miracle. He's a little miracle child.
Fair enough.
He's a blessing to this world.
Yeah. Does your mom feel like that? Certainly. That he's a blessing.
Of course.
Yeah.
She loves him so much.
Ferguson is adamant that his mother loved Timothy, but her actions proved otherwise.
She loved every single one of us, but my dad's controlish, freaky nature was just... He didn't want her having any contact and screwing all of his control up.
Okay.
And there was a thing back in Oklahoma where I had problems with emotional release. I was so terrified of him that I didn't ever want to release any of the negative emotions I ever had around him. There were times where I wanted to say no, but I was so terrified that I just couldn't.
Yeah.
Here, I can release my anger, and I do it in the right ways. I never do it any in any way that I'm not supposed to.
Okay.
And if I unintentionally cop an attitude with my mother, I realize it and I apologize, telling her that I did not mean to, that I just slipped a small amount and I'm going to go and do something to calm down.
Would there be any sort of consequence for your mom if you slipped up with her attitude-wise, or how would that work?
There were times when I would cop an attitude that was unnecessary, and she would have me get off devices for maybe 15 minutes, because usually that was what it was revolved around, because I'll be honest, I have an addiction to my devices.
Okay.
It's not something I can really do without, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. I never had very much of that back in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
My dad was strict. He didn't even give me a phone. My sister and my stepsister had phones before I did. And that was due to the fact that he could not raise a male.
Right.
And at first he thought that the ADHD was just ADD, because like my mother, I could hyperfocus, which is actually a symptom of ADHD.
Right. And then, so now you're in work. I know we talked yesterday about how you're paying bills and
yep. And unlike my father, she doesn't force me to give her half of my paycheck. He forced that on me.
Yeah.
And I was working basically minimum wage at both.
Yeah, that's tough.
It was nightmarish. And the thing is that my stepmother didn't even know about that until after I had moved and I had told her.
Okay.
And she apologized so heavily because she was just going to want some stuff to help with rent at times.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And when he asked to borrow money, he never paid it back. And my mother has paid it back every time. Whether it's in a way like paying for the bike payments for my electronic bike, because, you know, we put a down payment and then we have to do the consecutive payments for it.
Was that your first, would you consider that like your first big purchase on your electric bike, or have you purchased a more expensive thing?
More expensive than that? I don't believe so. No.
What about PCs? How much you spend a decent amount of money on computers, or trying to just piece them together, or?
We spent good amounts because Minecraft is something I've always loved.
Yeah.
And because for me, for the ADHD, being able to build and be creative is just something that I absolutely adored.
Okay.
And it also was something that I liked doing for YouTube. I have a YouTube channel myself. It's not popular or anything, but it is it's something that I was inspired by from Preston Plays and the recently passed Technoblade.
Yeah. Okay. So, you come here with Mom about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Timothy comes about a year ago. I think you said yesterday the same date even, right?
Yeah, the same date that
I
I left the house. I moved here into Michigan, I think, on the 30th.
Okay.
Because for the time after I had moved out of my parents' house, I stayed with my Uncle Dave and Aunt Linda, who both had actually been tricked by my father to also believe that my mother was bad, until she managed to clear the air.
Yeah. So you say the same date, but a year later. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I moved here at a later date, but he moved up here on the day I was basically kicked out.
Gotcha.
My dad had basically put a timeline, like I had to move out by a certain date.
With Ferguson's positive view towards his mother, even after everything that happened, it is possible that his opinion of his father isn't entirely accurate.
We have my own house and be on my own 2 feet, which the thing is, he never prepared me for any of this. Like I said, I love him, but most of the respect I had for him is gone.
So Timothy comes up here. What's life like immediately when he gets up here?
It was good at first. The thing is, this has happened before. Not like moving up from somewhere, but for the whole thing where I think he said, back in Oklahoma, I think once or twice he had said something about being suicidal.
Okay.
And we had put him in my stepmother and father agreed on this, that he could be institutionalized.
Right.
And when he got back, the first couple of weeks were good. He didn't misbehave, but then after that, it just reverted back to what he was doing before.
Okay.
The destructiveness and everything.
Explain that, like the destructiveness.
It was very dangerous. He would pull the outlet covers off. He would screw into light fixtures. It was
Okay.
Our house in Edmond was his room. He'd pull the studs out of the wall, rip off the paint. I mean,
Okay.
it was, yeah.
Were you able to have a conversation with him like you and I are having, like a back and forth conversation, or he wasn't able to talk like that?
He could talk, but the thing is that it would mostly be hard to understand.
Okay.
Because of the speech impairment, I think it's called. I don't know what that word is.
Speech impediment?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
But he was in therapy for that and the motor.
When up here?
No, in Oklahoma.
Do you know of him being in any therapy or anything up here?
No.
Okay. Do you know if you ever went to the doctor at all?
Here? No, honestly, we never, until, I don't know, we managed, since we stopped the last hunger strike and managed to get him back to a safe weight, we were hoping and praying that he wouldn't need any sort of assistance at that point, which he didn't. He was fine. But then this whole ordeal happened, and
Right.
I honestly feel like we should have taken him to the doctor sooner. We could have done something, but with all this that has happened, it's just...
Yeah. How long ago do you think you probably should have taken him to the doctor?
Honestly, if I'm going to be honest, I'd say the day after the divorce. We got the message about the divorce. And the thing is that my mother can't even face my father.
They should have gotten help much earlier for Timothy. If anything about what Ferguson is saying about his behavior is true, then they would have benefited from having professional medical assistance. I just released another extremely intense case on my Patreon. When a suspect shoots a cop in a police station, shows a man driven to desperation from concern for his friend, and decides he will use force to get his answers. What happens next is shocking. You can watch that and many more at patreon.com/strangerstoriesplus.
Right now, she doesn't want to call him because the one thing that she and I both know is that he's going to hurl every ounce of blame that he can at her.
Right. So when was that divorce?
I think it was exactly a week ago today or tomorrow, something like that.
So about a week ago, you thought,
Yes.
hey.
Yeah,
I saw on your phone that you had sent a couple pictures to your mom.
Yes.
Pretty skinny, and you said, hey, he's nothing but skin.
Yeah, I was very concerned. It just...
What do you think then? Maybe would have been a good time to take him to the doctor, or?
Yeah, honestly, that probably would have been one too. I don't know.
And then you sent a picture of his legs that were just basically gone, right?
Yeah.
No wonder he can't stand, or something along the lines of that.
Yeah, but the thing is, before yesterday, and I think the day before, he could walk.
Yeah.
He might need a little support every so often, like he put his hand against the wall or grab the rail of the stairs. But after a couple of seconds, he'd let go and be fine.
Okay.
It was never anything major.
Yeah. When was the last time he was really talking to you, able to have a conversation, or at least try to have a conversation?
Last time he actually talked was 3 days ago, but the day before, or the day after that, the day before yesterday, he could talk. He talked a small amount in the morning, but then...
All of the warning signs were there. Ferguson saw them, but chose to do nothing.
He just sort of was making groans and moans, and it concerned me. As my mother was driving me to work, I recommended that maybe we should take him to the hospital.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that ever happened or not.
What did she say about that when you made that recommendation?
I don't know. I think after that, I think that was like as I was getting out of the car and shutting the door.
So we're talking, so today's the 7th, yesterday the 6th. What day are we talking like the last time he was really kind of talking outside of the morning grow?
The 5th. He talked some in the morning. He was responsive.
Yeah.
That much I know.
What's the deal with the photograph in the bathtub of his face? Like zoomed in on his face?
He had been taking a bath.
Okay.
And I went in there to check on him at one point, and he's just kind of laying there. I'm like, "Bud, you okay?" He didn't respond, but he was looking around, so, and he was breathing, I know that much.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So at that time, but he wasn't talking at that time?
No, and it started to concern me. I'm not sure if I texted Mama about it or not.
Well, you sent a picture to her.
Yeah, I probably should have said something about the ER at that point, though.
Well, certainly
so stupid.
You have to think about it like this, right? She's a grown adult, and if she sees that, that's not all on you, right? You made, from what I see, you made numerous attempts to say, we need to do something different about this.
Yeah.
We can't keep doing this to him.
I know she's a good person.
Yeah. And it's not about...
I don't know if this is both of our faults. If we should have done something sooner. I know we both could have.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to think about this. Right now is not a time about blaming people, but it's a time to try to figure out, when could we have changed things? What could we have done differently? How did we get to the point where we were at? Because, clearly where you guys got to, when you say he was in the bath, that wasn't a nice, enjoyable bath though, right? That was a punishment bath.
Ferguson and his mother often punished Timothy by forcing him to take ice baths.
Right? That's a cold, ice-cold bath. Yeah. And that's hard to
I
understand.
did wash, I did tell him that if he wanted to wash up, and he did, but then in the middle of it, I think the whole laying there in a daze happened.
When he's getting these ice baths, I know there's numerous of them, right? I mean, because I've read through the messages.
Yes.
How are you getting the ice? Like, where's it coming from?
We have an ice machine upstairs. It's not a lot. It can barely create any. It's enough to make it a full-on.
Okay. But it's a cold bath.
Yeah.
And you're putting ice in there? Like, one dump of ice, 2 dumps?
One dump. Yeah, it's maybe that much.
And then you're just running cold water, or what type of water?
The water doesn't exactly go cold. Okay. It says there's a cold button, but it's basically sort of lukewarm-ish.
How many times would you estimate that you guys gave cold baths as a punishment for not behaving or whatever, for whatever reason?
I think for punishments, it was... I don't exactly know the number, but it wasn't a lot.
Are we talking like 5, 10, 20, every day, every other day? Like any idea?
5.
Yeah. But whose idea was it to give him a cold bath as a punishment?
It was my mother's.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it would be a punishment effective or not. I don't.
Do you remember the first time you guys did it? Like why? Like what did he do?
Not exactly.
What did he do on that day that he sent the photo that made you have to give him a cold bath?
I think it was that he not only peed but also pooped in bed, and my mother wasn't too happy because it absolutely reeked.
Yeah. And when we talk about bed, I understand we've been to the house and we've been through all the messages.
Yeah.
Where did he sleep most of the nights? In that closet?
Yes.
When did that kind of start happening? Or had he always been standing there?
No, he hadn't always.
Okay.
But the thing was, the loft bed, if you've noticed, just screws and stuff, that was his doing.
Okay.
And we couldn't get it safely back.
Yeah. So, he's sleeping in the closet?
Yes. We made sure that it was cleaned. He had a mattress in there, but then he decided to rip off the cover, like a sort of plastic cover we put on there to keep it from getting smelly and disgusting. We always wanted what's best for him. I don't know.
So you guys decide to move him into the closet. There's an alarm on the door. What's that for?
When he would try and sneak, because if you notice, there was also one on the garage door. that was also because, there's some food in there that he would try and sneak.
Right.
And it wasn't just that he was hungry at some points for those. It was that he wanted something sweet. And at times he would be taking stuff that was going to have plans for food, actual food.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I see exactly what you're saying.
And I don't know about the whole, just bread at some points, but we did start giving him actual better food.
When you talk about the bedroom being moved into that closet, is that your idea or is that your mom's idea?
That was my mother's. Yes.
And so how long do you think he was staying in that closet for?
Ferguson had to know on some level that there was something horribly wrong with the way Timothy was being treated, although he may be in denial.
Couple of weeks, maybe. I think we truly had started activating the alarm on the door every night after we had found that he would sneak out and get back up on.
Yeah.
Which was loft bed. Where, like I said, that thing was dangerous at that point because he had been screwing around with the bolts and screws, and at any point it could have given way and he could have gotten seriously injured.
Right, yeah. So he moves into there. There's the tarp in there. Is that just to prevent? What is that for?
That was after I think we had gone to like 3 plastic covers that he had shredded.
Yeah.
Before we decided to put down the tarp. And honestly, I had expected him to complain, but he didn't, and I don't know.
So there's this restriction on food. You talked about bread.
All Timothy was allowed to eat was bread with hot sauce.
For how long was he just eating just bread?
A week or 2.
What was he kind of eating before that?
We do ramen, sandwiches, and I think at some points we actually give him like a meal.
Why was it that he couldn't have meals?
The whole sneaking, I don't know.
Because he was sneaking food?
A lot, yeah, we, over and over and over.
Who's
There'd
that?
literally be times where I would be sitting on the couch playing,
Yeah.
and then I'd look up and he's there grabbing something.
Yeah. And so, whose idea was it for him to just eat bread? Is that your idea?
No,
Whose idea was that?
my mother's.
Tell me about the hot sauce. I know that was used as both a punishment and it was put on the bread. Was it always on the bread?
Not always, no. But the thing is, it still hardly did anything for him.
Yeah.
There would be times where it would do something for me because I'd accidentally rub my eye after I put it on there. It was, ow.
Yeah. So you're putting, what dictates whether or not there's hot sauce on the bread that he's eating? What decides that?
I don't know. Whenever my mother told me to put hot sauce on it, I did. It was normally a thin layer to make sure that it wouldn't be too much. Because from what I know, the Ghost, or the California Reaper is, 2,000 Scoville? Or 2 million Scoville?
What does that mean?
It's the hot sauce, or the heat index, basically.
Okay. And that's pretty high?
Very.
So how long have you guys been using the hot sauce for?
Almost a month, maybe.
Okay. And was that only on bread, or was that on other stuff too?
I think one time we put it in some rice.
Okay.
But after that, I don't think we did that again.
What was it used for, right? Because you're giving them bread as a meal. What's the purpose of the hot sauce?
I know it was punishment, but honestly, I don't think it was that useful because, like I said, he had no feeling in his tongue. He literally bit a hole in it at one point and didn't even feel it.
Was he eating this bread with hot sauce, or was he?
Yeah, he was.
Is that really the only things he had to eat those days, or would he get other things to eat?
From the bread and rice, others than that, not that I know of.
Okay. So for how long do you think he just ate rice and bread and hot sauce?
Maybe the 4 months thing. Or 1 month, sorry. Jeez. I was
1 month.
thinking 4 weeks, and my brain scrambled
okay.
that.
We totally understand. I understand what you're saying. So maybe about 4 weeks.
Yeah. But
Did you see a decline in him during that 4 weeks of losing even more weight or being even less responsive? Or what changed when you moved into doing that?
I think it was that there would be times where it would take him a moment to respond. At first I thought it was just him acting, but then I was getting concerned, I think a week or so maybe ago.
Okay. That his responses are delayed, is that?
Yeah, and
as a matter of fact, I think you mentioned that to your mom multiple times, right? That he doesn't seem to be responding, that he can't walk very well, that he's stumbling. I think you mentioned those things too.
yeah.
What was her response to those things?
I think she was thinking, because there was one point where he did that, but it was before he was thin.
Yeah.
And it scared the crap out of me, but then he admitted to my mother later that day while I was at work that it was an act.
Okay.
So I guess we made the mistake, she made the mistake of believing that that was what it was. I know that he's done stuff like that back in Oklahoma too. He would do something that would scare the crap out of us to make us believe that something was wrong. And several times here, he faked seizures. I've seen it and I've also seen what happens because back in Oklahoma, he had seizures from medication problems.
Okay.
But yeah, I know that I can tell the difference. And at one point, Gabriel had just barely walked back into Mama and Adam's room when he tried it again. Had Gabriel been there, he would have been even more terrified than he already was, because like we said,
Timothy may have had an underlying medical condition, or seizures could have been caused by malnourishment.
He was there for the stroke and the seizures, so.
Yeah. The hot sauce. Whose idea was it to get hot sauce as punishment? Was that your idea?
I honestly don't remember that part. I don't remember whose it was. I know that before we were using the California, we were using ghost pepper sauce.
So, where did these sauces come from?
I think it was either Amazon or Walmart apps.
Okay. Did you ever go to the store and buy anything?
No, we didn't ever.
Did you ever order any of those yourself? Or who was ordering the hot sauce?
My mother is, but she would ask if I could help her pay for it, which,
okay.
Like I said, she's been amazing. She's never demanded money.
Yeah. I think I saw a message that where she asks you.
So I knew that she wasn't just going, if I said it not that moment, she would have understood, unlike my father.
Yeah. So the hot sauce on bread, if you ever put hot sauce on bread, was it ever your own decision to put hot sauce on bread?
No.
Sometimes you were left in charge of the two kids, right?
Yes.
How often was that you were in charge?
Sometimes it was during the mornings where she would go to work, but around 3-ish, I would have to go to work myself. She would be home after around 6 o'clock from work, and at that point she would ask me to have them both go to Gabriel and Timothy to go to their rooms, which, for him at that point was the closet, and Gabriel's was downstairs as well. Gabriel would take his tablet, because if there's one thing we both know, it's that he's also very dependent on that. It's something that keeps him calm and collected.
So when mom's not there, is she monitoring with the cameras? Is that what the cameras in the home are for?
Yes.
And how does she communicate with you?
Text. Via text.
From her phone to your phone? Or?
Yes.
Okay. And how does she communicate with the other kids?
Through the alarms, because they do have that dual way talking. But
so she can talk to them through
the
camera system or the alarms?
Yeah. It's cameras, not alarms. Jesus,
okay.
The alarms don't have. Sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. You don't have to be sorry at all.
I can't.
So she's able to communicate with them that way. She's communicating with you via text.
Yes, Timothy doesn't have anything to text with. He does, but I don't think, because we couldn't trust him on devices, so we couldn't exactly.
So you have her kind of monitoring everything.
I do sometimes at some points, yes. I will log into the cameras and make sure that I don't have Gabriel's app, because normally before I leave, he's upstairs in her room.
The youngest brother did not receive the same punishments as Timothy. There were 4 brothers, and Vander may have targeted Timothy because of his special needs.
He's been like that for a while. Timothy's or Gabriel's?
Gabriel's.
I don't know about that one, honestly.
Do you know what app was Timothy's?
The one for his room, I think Mama had that one. I know the one in the bathroom was Blue something, BLU, and then something else.
Okay.
And then the one in the downstairs area was Tekken.
Okay. So wait, was Timothy had his own 2 in his room?
Yes, but that was before we moved him into the closet.
Okay.
The Tekken was for when he was there, and it was also when he would get up and have to go to the bathroom before this whole.
Which ones do you know how to log into?
I don't think I remember the one for the Tekken, but I think the other one was my sister Millie's name, and then it was 2 numbers, I think. I don't remember.
Okay. When do you think was the last time you got logged into that camera?
The Tekken, it was.
I mean the Blue.
Was it Blue? I think it was maybe a couple of days ago. I don't.
So just to be right.
Normally I would when I would get ready to head to work, I would log out of it because I could not stand. With my Apple Watch, it was connected to my phone, so whenever that got a notification of like Gabriel going to the bathroom, my watch would vibrate during work, and it would be annoying.
Yeah, that's certainly. Okay.
So I wouldn't know what was normally going on during the nights.
Right. So I know that when we talked yesterday in front of your mom, she was lying about some stuff, right? I know that she's a good person. I'm not doubting that at all.
Yeah, we never wanted any of this.
But you also noticed, like I know, that some of the things that she was talking to us about were the truth, right? About she said she didn't know there was a camera in the bathroom. But the fact of the matter, she asked you to put the camera in the bathroom, right? Didn't she send you a text message that says, make sure that the camera's in there and take the shower curtain down so I can see him? Didn't she ask you that the day before he passed away?
Yeah.
So we talked about some of that stuff. Remember how during the conversation I said, I know what this pepper's for, it's for punishment. And what did she say? She said, I didn't know anything about that, right?
Vander would have allowed Ferguson to take the blame if it had been possible. Fortunately, there was enough evidence to prove she not only knew what was going on, but that she instigated Timothy's punishments.
Why do you think she's saying those things? Why do you think
she doesn't want to appear like a bad person. She doesn't want to be the bad guy in this. We never wanted any of this. We want him to be healthy. I know that for a fact. We should have been so much. I should have at least put my foot down on something.
Right.
But it's not that I'm afraid of her. I can't fear her because she's not the type to instill fear.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's also what caused him to sometimes lie about things as well. Was that he still had this fear of Dad, and then he thought she would be the same.
Yeah. That could very well be the case.
She's nothing like him. That much I know. She's
right. But she knows that you shouldn't be using hot sauce as a punishment, right? She knows better than that. And you know better than that too, right? Yeah. I think that anybody with some common sense knows that hot sauce is not something used to punish a child for eating food that they're not supposed to eat, or for disrespect, or for not following orders. We know those things aren't okay.
I know that. We've tried so many different things. We just were running out of options of trying to find a punishment that would actually work. And even that did nothing.
Right.
Timothy did not need punishment. He needed someone with medical training to help him with his behaviors and to help his family understand his needs and which of his actions were beyond his control.
And we still kept trying, though. I don't know why.
So you have the hot sauce. Tell me about the handcuffs. I know that, once again, she took no blame for that, right? And who did she put it all on? She put it all on you. She said that that was your idea and that those were yours and that you did those things. But I think that's not the truth from what I read on here. What's the real truth on that?
We would have him against the wall at some points, and he would try to move. And at one point, we'd actually put motion sensors on him to stop that. But
On him himself?
Yeah, like they were vibrator. They would sense any sort of vibrations.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he'd learned to trick them by moving so slow, or they'd be on his door and they'd be moving so slow that it wouldn't set off. So you'd get away with stuff.
Okay.
So
you're saying standing still, was that like a punishment that he was forced to stand
on the
still?
wall, yeah, against the wall, we was having.
Was that regular that he had to do that? Like how often was he having to stand against the wall?
Since 2 weeks ago, it wasn't very often.
Okay. Just because he couldn't physically stand against the wall anymore?
No, it was. I guess that it just didn't work, because if he wouldn't set it off when he was against the wall, he would then, like, it'd be on a belt around him. He'd stuff it in his pocket and then just sit down on the ground or lay down and stay like that.
So he was punished by trying to make him stand, but then he would lay down. Did you guys ever wake him up on purpose because he wasn't supposed to be sleeping?
Yeah, and we also know one thing about him was that if he slept during the day, he was going to be up all night.
Okay. So you wouldn't let him sleep during the day, essentially?
If he wanted maybe an hour-long or 2-hour nap, we would. But anything longer, we knew that it would start screwing with his actual sleeping.
So who's monitoring this all the time? Like, who's making sure he's not sleeping during the day? Who's making sure he stands against the wall?
Ferguson spent a lot of time watching Timothy on the cameras, slowly watching as his brother wasted away from neglect.
When my mother was at work, she'd have me log in before she'd leave. I'd come upstairs and go back to sleep on the couch. I'd set an alarm normally for 10:30 to 11:30 so that I could wake up and be up to keep things going around the house, keep everything in order.
Okay. So
she never did any of this to be harsh.
Listen, I'm in no way questioning whether your mom cared or any of those things. I'm not. But the reality is we just have to talk about how we got to this point and how these decisions were made. So I don't want you to think that.
We also did stop the leg cuffs,
Yeah.
I think a while ago, because we noticed that his ankles were swelling. So we stopped that because we didn't want his legs to become irreparable.
How often were you guys putting leg cuffs on him before that? Was that something like at night to stop him from moving around, or what was it for?
I think we did it once or so. Once, maybe twice at night. One time. I don't know. I'm so lost. I just don't know what to do.
What about handcuffs or zip ties? What did you guys use those for?
The zip ties were either to fasten the vibrational arms to his belt during the day.
Yeah.
Or to put it on his wrist, not too tight and I would make sure, after the first time we did it, I would make sure to cut off the end of the zip ties because I had them loose. and then he decided to tighten them to where they were nearly cutting off circulation.
Yeah.
So after that point, I myself, when I was told to put him into zip ties, I'd grab a pair of scissors and snip off the ends to make sure that he couldn't tighten it to where...
There is no situation where it is acceptable to zip tie a child. Ferguson can try to rationalize his actions, but this was not discipline. It was torture.
It was cutting anything off.
Were you guys ever zip tying his hands together?
His hands? I think we did once when we had a pair of them that could, the zip cuffs.
Okay.
But again, I'd cut those off to make sure that
tight.
he wouldn't tighten them, yeah, because...
What was that for? Why would you use those to
Normally we have him do this. It was something that I'm not sure if it was my father or my mother back when they were together, but when we were put in timeout, we'd be told to do this. And so sometimes though he'd try and do stuff like this, or just try and put his hands down or down by his sides. So we do that to keep them.
Okay. Yeah. How long do you think you had those on for?
I think the zip ties, cuffs, probably when we first used them, it was when I would get ready to leave for work, I'd put them on, do the whole snipping, and then when Mama would get home, she'd grab the scissors and cut them off immediately.
Yeah. How long are we talking? Is this for a couple hours, 8 hours, 10 hours?
Normally the maximum was 3.
Okay.
Because when I worked normally at that point, I think I was only working evening and closing shifts.
Yeah.
It would be 4:30 or 4 o'clock that I'd need to be there. So in order to get there, I would have to leave an hour before to actually make it on time.
Right.
But and we'd put the vibration alarms on there, but then again we stopped that after the zip ties, because with the chains or the chain parts of the cuffs, I think they would rattle to where if you tried to move, it would still set them off, even with the whole slowness.
Yeah. Tell me about the night before. I know that you said you got home at 2.
Yeah.
Let's talk about kind of what really happened that night, because I know that
I did take my meds. He was in his room. I didn't think to check. I should have though. I should have made sure he was at least okay, that he was breathing. He could have been gone by the time I'd already gotten home.
Right. So when you first talked to us and you talked to the police, you said he was on his bunk bed, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the truth.
No.
Okay. He was in that closet that's right there by the bunk bed?
Yeah.
Okay. And then your mom had texted you that earlier in the night, or how did you know that he was in there?
I guess at that point it was just something I would already know, because I have a slight problem. It's not like a problem, just a small sort of OCD with the light switches.
Okay.
So I'd go upstairs and I'd take my meds, and normally the light switches by the back door, I'd want them down, and then when I'd come over to the stairs, normally when I'd flip it down, the light in the dining room would turn on. So I'd go to the stairs and flip it to turn the light on for the stairs, and the ones in the dining room off. Go downstairs and then flip that switch to get the stairs off, and then the one in there would turn on, and that was how I would know he wasn't in the bed. And then go and turn the ones off at the start of the hall, and then turn off the light with the switch by my bedroom.
So you know he's not in the bed?
Yes.
So you told us that you heard him snoring. Was that a lie?
Yeah.
And did you come up with that on your own, or did somebody ask you to say that he was in the bed? It's okay.
I know.
It's okay.
I feel so guilty, like I could have done something at any point in this.
But you're not. You're his brother. And you have a mother that's telling you what to do. And so I understand why you feel the way that you do, but at the same time you have to look at You think that your mother's telling you to do what's best for him, right? That's what you've been telling me since
Yeah.
you came in here.
And I know she wants what's best for all of us.
So, I'm back to my question. Did somebody ask you to say that he was in the bunk bed?
I came up with that on my own because I didn't want.
By making up the story, Ferguson proves that he knew what they were doing was wrong.
I feel so guilty.
You came up with that on your own?
Yeah, because.
So tell me what really happened in the morning then, because obviously what was told to us wasn't the truth. What really happened when you guys, somebody found him, or?
I woke up and I had been grabbing my shoes, and it was at that point that it basically all played out like we said. The whole morning thing was exact. He wasn't breathing in the closet. It was the closet though. We had to get him out of the closet to try and resuscitate.
So it's you and your mother that tried to get him out of the closet?
We did get him out.
Okay.
And we tried to resuscitate.
Who noticed him first? You or
My mother.
Okay. Did she have asked you via text to check on him on the way up? That's not what happened. She said, "Hey, can you check on him on your way upstairs?" Do you remember that text message at all?
No.
Okay.
There might have been one that I didn't see, but.
Okay. So you guys pull him out of the closet.
And we tried to resuscitate him. We gave him rescue breaths. His breath smelled horrible. I thought maybe he might have still been capable of being resuscitated because his mouth was still wet.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe it had just been recent, so we could do something. But
When you were at work, right? You came home at about 2. Does that sound right, or is that?
yeah, that was true because what was it? It was the day after the 4th of July or so. What's today's date?
Yeah, today's the 7th. This
The
was on the
7th. Yeah, it was on the 5th. So
Well, it's the 5th when you were at work, and then you
Yes.
come home in the morning of.
yes, and yeah, some of the servers there were still people in the lobby, and we had to finish that off. I'm the general utility, so I have to break down the machine, clean the outside, clean the floors.
Gotcha. So when you guys pull him out of the closet, like, does he have clothes on at that point, or is he in a diaper, or what's that state?
He had a shirt. I think we had put him in pants, or sweatpants, but I don't know, maybe some point in the night he took them off. I don't know about
When you
that.
say we, you weren't there though when he went to bed, right?
No.
So how would you know if we put him in sweatpants? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So do you know if he had pants on or not when he went to
No,
bed?
honestly. But he didn't have them when we got him out. He had the diaper on, at least.
So he has the diaper on. You're saying that he has a shirt on? What shirt did he have on?
The very same sweatshirt that we found him in. Because obviously we didn't want him to get cold. Or I don't think Mama wanted him to get cold. I'm pretty sure she texted me about that. I'm not sure.
Okay. So you guys pull him out. Does he have pants on or no pants on?
None, no.
And when we get there, he has pants on.
Yeah, she had me put them on.
She asked you to put pants on. What
Yeah.
was that for?
I don't know. I just...
And so you guys...
Ferguson and Vander tried to cover up Timothy's condition, but clothing him wasn't enough to hide the neglect.
At that time, she decides that she's going to lie to him and say that he was in the bunk bed? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Clearly
She doesn't want to seem like she's bad. That we weren't neglecting him, and even if that's if it somehow ended up like that, it was never intentional.
Right. Well, what you're saying, I mean, if we talk, right, there's all these things where you're like, she didn't want it to seem like this. She didn't want it to seem like this. She didn't want it to seem like this. Did you know that it all seems like that, right?
Yes, I know.
It does. And he clearly was neglected because he died from it, right? The reality is that he was. That's why we're here talking today. So he was very much neglected. And the fact that, she had asked you to put hot sauce on his private parts. Do you remember that?
She'd asked, but I never did. I never did.
Never did that?
No.
Okay. And she had asked you to put hot sauce directly into his mouth. Did you do that?
Yes.
Is that on the 5th, the day kind of leading up to all this stuff?
Yeah.
How much hot sauce did you put in there?
That.
And whose idea was that to put that hot sauce in there?
Hers.
And what was the purpose of that?
Again, she thought the whole unresponsive was an act.
She thought it was an act, which clearly, very clearly, it wasn't. I mean,
Yeah.
where is the hot sauce that he used? Is that the one that was in the bathroom, or is there a different one?
That was the one in the bathroom, yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about lying during this? How does that make you feel?
I just hate it. I know she doesn't want to be the bad guy. She never wanted this. We loved him so much. And it just...
I don't think it's about love at this point. I think it's about not knowing what to do, not knowing how to handle the situation.
We didn't know how to do anything.
I don't think you knew.
I've never... The worst punishment I've ever gotten in Oklahoma, it was my father. He spanked me with a belt so hard that my butt was bruised.
Yeah.
And at another point, they had me do wall sits. He had me do wall sits while holding 2 cans of chicken noodle soup out like this. And that was when I was in high school. I could hardly get to school the next couple of days because I had to walk. And my limbs were so stiff and filled with lactic acid that it was just painful to try and even get across the street.
Yeah.
And again, bruises on my backside too, where it was really hard to sit at school.
What other kinds of things? Did you guys ever put hot sauce anywhere else? Did you ever put hot sauce like in his eyes or anything like that?
Not that I know of. I think at one point he may have, after he'd eaten, he had forgotten to wash his hands and rubbed his eye.
Okay.
I know at one point I unintentionally done this.
Did you ever directly put hot sauce into his eye?
No, I remember, but when that happened, I helped him wash out his eyes to make sure that it wouldn't sting so much. Or it wouldn't sting at all. I'm not sure if it helped or not. But he said it was good after. I think that was a couple of weeks back.
Okay. What else can you tell me about what happened there at the house? What other types of punishments did you guys have for him?
I know at one point that he was actually refusing to eat. We would give him his food and he would just be stubborn and sit there and just slowly, it was regular bread, nothing else on it. Just chow down to the point where it was basically he was trying to waste time, he could be upstairs.
Where did he spend most of his time?
In his room. We wouldn't make him stand. Sometimes we would have him kneeling, like on his knees, like this, facing one of the corners, but...
What was that for? For punishment?
Yeah, I don't even know what it was for at this point. I'm not sure.
But where did he spend most of his time?
It was in that room.
The closet there?
Yeah, I think less than 3 or so weeks ago we've been having him try and do schoolwork.
Yeah.
But the thing is that he's just... At this point, I'm slightly curious on how he was even in sophomore year. He was supposed to be a junior next year, but we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do that because he was just...
Timothy was not performing well in school and was most likely being punished for that as well.
He was flunking everything, and my mother graded fairly. She used the actual answers that were on a website or in a textbook of some sort.
Yeah.
But back in Oklahoma, he was also even destructive at school, destroying textbooks, desks, really anything.
So
He was a destructive child.
And like this all happened, right? Where do you and your mom agree to tell the same story that he was in the bunk bed, or how does that happen? You couldn't have both just possibly made up this new story.
No.
So what happened? She told you, right? She told you what to say? It's okay. She told you what to say? Because why? Did she tell you why? Because it'll look bad for you guys?
It's not just that. We loved him.
Can I ask you this, like, straight up? You keep saying love, love. Do you feel like this was love? That he's dead now because he couldn't eat food? Does that feel like love to you?
No.
He's dead because he couldn't eat.
No.
And I don't know anybody that thinks that's love. What I think's happening is your mom's convinced you that she's this perfect person, and she's asking you to do all these things that are literally killing your brother.
I know she's not perfect.
The detective confronts Ferguson with the truth about Vander. Ferguson is visibly upset and is unable to admit even to himself that she did not have good intentions.
How is that love? How is love? How is love ice baths? How is love handcuffing? And how is love restricting movement? And how is love hot sauce in the mouth and only eating bread? What if you only got to eat bread? How would you feel? What if you only got to eat bread with hot sauce? Would you eat?
No.
You're pretty skinny already. It wouldn't take you long.
This is my natural weight. I have an overactive metabolism.
But it wouldn't take you long to be very much skin and bones if all you got to eat was bread and hot sauce. Because how could you eat it? And how could you feel good about eating it? Was he throwing up stuff that he was eating?
Forcefully, he would force himself to get it back up.
When? Like recently, in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, he would force himself, honestly.
You ever think it's because maybe it was painful? It's hot sauce. It's not like that just goes away. Did you ever complain about pain, stomach pain, pain from using the bathroom?
Not that I know of, no. I do know that my mother, she's not perfect, but she's not a bad person.
Do you know, can I ask you this? Do you know of any good people who starved a child to death? Tell me of one that you know. Tell me of one that you know. That's a child who has a lot of problems, right? That's not a child that's taking care of themselves. They can't take care of themselves because you guys are restricting where he can go and what he can do. And if he does something wrong, you're punishing him by giving him ice baths and hot sauce and only feeding him bread. How is that? How is that a loving person? How is that a loving mother? You know what that sounds like to me? And honestly, the worst mother I've ever met in my entire life is what it sounds like to me.
I know. But she's not.
Maybe she wasn't to you. Maybe she was a good mother to you. And maybe she wasn't to Gabriel. Sounds like she's a very good mother to Gabriel. But to one of the three children, she didn't care. You can say it if you want. She starved him to death because he wouldn't stop taking food. Well, maybe he's taking food because he wants to live. Have you ever thought about that?
Yes.
Maybe he's stealing food so that he can survive. He's dead because he didn't get food.
I know that.
Well, that's not anybody's fault but your mother's. And you can try to take some of the blame if you want, but it's her fault. Because every single time I see a message in here, it's her telling you what to do. And she put you right in the middle of this. She put you right in the middle of this where it looks like some of the stuff's your idea. And it actually looks like in some of these things that you kind of enjoy it. That you kind of enjoy punishing him for doing wrong things. Do you feel like you kind of enjoy punishing him for that stuff?
No.
Maybe not that he was in pain, but that you were in charge and you got to tell him, you can't do that, go do this, this is your punishment. Did you like some of that stuff?
No.
Did she like some of that stuff?
No.
How come you guys are laughing and joking about it sometimes with smiley faces and like...
If it's the upside down smiley face,
Yeah, what's that mean?
it's the opposite of happiness.
Okay.
It means that I'm really angry,
Okay.
and she's kept me calm, like I said.
Because he made you mad a lot, right? It sounds like he made you mad a lot. But when you look back on it, do you think he really could control it? Clearly he needed help. He didn't need punishment. He needed some help. He couldn't make those decisions or do those things on his own You saw it over and over and over and over again, right? What was your mother's choice? Her choice was more punishment, less food. More punishment. The only food you get is bread. And the only bread you get, sometimes, is with the hottest hot sauce that we can find. That's all you get to eat. There's no way that you can look at yourself and think, that's okay. And that your mom's good for that. She was doing what's best for him. How could that be best for him? Why couldn't it be a piece of chicken that's cooked? Why couldn't he eat that? Why does it have to be bread with hot sauce? It's not about punishment. You need food to survive. You need food to live.
Ferguson is unable to argue with the detective's points. He knows that this went far beyond punishment. And if the detective doesn't buy that excuse, then neither will a jury.
He didn't get to live because of that. Because of what you guys did. And I'm sitting here talking to you because I think that way more of it has to do with your mom than you. I don't think that you're this bad person who was out here doing these things. But you're also still not telling me the whole truth about what happened that night. About the night that he ended up dead. That there's more to that story.
I've told you everything that I have. I don't want to live a life where I regret the fact that I hid somehow, something. And I've told you everything I know.
How do you feel about living a life where you hid that your brother wasn't eating from society, that you hid that your brother was dying? How do you feel about that?
I hate myself, okay? If I could take his place right now, if I could give him back his life, I'd do it in a dadgum heartbeat.
Did your mom ever do anything like this to you?
No. Not even back when she and my father were together. The punishments were him.
When did this stuff kind of start? Sounds like to me it started after your stepdad was out of the house.
Because Timothy would take advantage of that situation. We were all stressed. And he would take advantage of that. Anything he can find to take advantage of. Almost his entire life, except for, I think when he was still a baby. He would find some way to take advantage of whatever he can.
Was there ever food restrictions when, is it Eric?
Dad?
Yeah. Not Eric. Adam? Adam's stepdad to you, correct?
Yes.
Was there ever food restriction with bread only when he was in the house?
No, because...
Was the house messy like it is now? Disgusting.
It wasn't as messy. With all the stress that's been going on, we've had moments where, yeah, we could get it cleaned up, but...
Does your mom feel bad at all about giving him just bread and
yes.
hot sauce and locking him in the closet and
yes,
handcuffing
hates it.
And
she hates it. She never once enjoyed it.
Ice baths. She gave him ice bath on the day that he died, right? Leading up to it. And she wanted him to sleep in the tub. That's what I read. Did that happen? Did he sleep in the tub?
No.
He didn't.
No.
He didn't die in that bathtub and you guys dragged him into that closet and waited for the morning to call the police? That's not what happened.
No. It's not.
Do you think she did that? Do you think that message is just a little bit suspicious? That she sends you at just about midnight that says, he's in the closet, I had to drag him in there. You don't think he was already dying or dead at that point?
I was working. I didn't read that message until basically I got home.
But do you think she sent that for a reason? Why would she send that?
I don't know.
Doesn't it seem like maybe he was already dead? That she put him in there so that he could wake up and have died in his sleep? Because she can't call the police when he's in an ice bath and he freezes and he dies. Not freezes per se, but he dies in the bath. And she dragged him in there. Did she talk to you all about that? Did she tell you the truth about what really happened?
I don't know at this point.
She did, right? I don't want you to lie to me anymore.
No, I don't know if he died in there. I don't know where. I remember. I know that when I got up, he was gone.
And when was the last time you saw him alive?
The 5th.
What time? Ballpark?
I think because of my bike, Mama had to pick me up and drop me off at work. So I was very late getting there, but I had let them know beforehand. I know he was alive before I left.
You know he was alive when you left for work.
Yeah.
And you don't really know exactly what it was, but
I think she managed to get there a little bit after 6. I managed to get to work around 6:35-ish.
so she says to you at 11:49 p.m. on 7/5. She says, please set your alarm for 6 a.m. I ended up dragging him back to a small room. That's talking about the closet.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to risk him having access to the tub or other things overnight. Wasn't he already in the tub? So what do you mean risk him having access to the tub overnight? He's still trying to be water. She says he's still trying to be stupid, but I will tell you more tomorrow while I take you to work, describing how many different ways I proved that he's still faking. He's still doing it.
The thing was that
It's beyond
yesterday
ridiculous.
I had offered him a pizza roll. Because I wanted to truly test whether he was faking or not. And at first he didn't move. I'm like, okay, maybe this is, but then he moved and went to try and grab it. I'm like, okay, I don't even know. I don't know anymore.
Well, he wasn't faking it, right? Because he died.
Yeah.
He wasn't faking it unless your mom did something to him to kill him. Do you think she did that?
No, of course not.
Outside of not feeding him food and punishing him for months?
Ferguson says that his mother isn't a murderer. He doesn't seem to realize that what she did is classified as murder, and the same label will apply to him as well.
That's what killed him, right? Or did she hold a pillow over his mouth and suffocate him?
No, of course not. She wouldn't.
Did she hold him by the throat and squeeze it until he died?
No.
So what killed him was not having food, not having access to food and malnutrition for months? How long did this go on for?
I don't know.
You feel good at all about any of this stuff?
No, of course not.
You can't, right?
I can't even live with myself.
But how do you feel about over and over and over again defending your mother about how good she is? Do you feel like that's the truth anymore? Because I'm quite disgusted by her. I'm disgusted by her.
She never wanted this.
Then how smart is your mom?
She's incredibly intelligent. Magna cum laude.
Right. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought, how can a woman that's this smart, this intelligent, graduate from law school, how could she not know what's happening? How could she think this is fake? How does she not know she's starving? How does she not see that he's wasting away? And you're telling me that you've got some mental health issues, but you graduated from high school, and it's very obvious to you that he's got malnutrition, right? It's very obvious to you. But your mom here's not seeing that, and she's a law school graduate, and she's very smart. Do you see what I'm looking at here?
Yes.
She's a liar. She's lied to you about so much stuff. At some point, you need to stand up for yourself and realize she's the manipulator, she's the liar, she put you in this spot, she did this to your brother, using you. Do you not see that? That she used you to do this to your brother. Your mother used you. She's so smart. She's smarter than any of us here. She's smarter than me. She's smarter than any detective here. She's smarter than our chief of police here. She's smarter than all of us. And we're supposed to believe she didn't know what was happening? No. She didn't want him around anymore because he was too much of a problem.
The detective does not sugarcoat his opinion, and Ferguson is not pleased by the implication that he has been manipulated by his mother.
You know that's the truth. You can look back at it and see that, can't you? She didn't want him around anymore because he was too much work. That's the truth. And the second you start to believe that and understand that, then I think that's the time you can move forward in this case. Until you believe that, until you understand that, you're never moving forward from this. This isn't an accident. This didn't just happen. Your mom knew exactly what was happening to him, that he was wasting away. You saw it, didn't you? You saw it happening right in front of you.
It was never intentional.
For you? Or for her? Is she smart or is she not smart?
She's highly intelligent.
Then how is this not intentional? She thought, what did she think was going to happen then? He was just going to be good? And all of a sudden he was going to start behaving and doing everything she said because she didn't feed him food?
I don't know.
What did she think was going to happen?
I don't know.
Exactly what happened is what she thought was going to happen. At some point he wasn't going to wake up.
She never wanted him dead. She loved him.
That's love to you? Everything that we talked about is love? How? Who do you love in your life?
My family.
Have you ever thought about starving them?
No, of course.
Have you ever thought about not giving them food as a punishment?
No, of course.
Have you ever thought about giving them hot sauce so that they would listen?
No.
Or that they would do what was told? You somehow don't think those things are okay. Do you think those things are okay?
No.
Because everybody knows they're not. Except the smartest woman in the room. She's the one person that doesn't know that's not okay? You're joking, right?
No.
The smartest woman in the room is the one that doesn't know you can't do those things. No, it's all very intentional. The smartest woman in the room knows. She graduated second in her class from law school. She graduated with honors from college and from law school. But she doesn't know that not giving your kid food is going to make him sick and die?
We gave him food. She even told me to make sure that he had a good amount of. She would tell me on random days. They were never consecutive, I don't believe, for the hot sauce punishment. But other than that, it was always bread and rice. At one point, she even asked me to put some broth. I think that she wanted chicken, but we didn't have any, so I used beef.
It is evident from his expression that the detective is tired of Ferguson's flimsy attempts to justify his mother's actions.
For some rice. She cared. She never wanted this. We didn't.
But you sent her pictures of him looking dead, right? Looking almost dead.
Yeah.
That's your brother.
Yeah.
That's June 13th, less than a month ago. You sent this picture to her and you said, he's looking like a skeleton, we need to give him more food. But you guys didn't give him more food over the next couple weeks. You guys gave him less and more punishment and less bread and more bread with hot sauce. That's what really happened. You reached out to her and said, this is scary looking, right? You probably thought, he can barely walk. You sent a picture of his legs, right? You sent this picture of his legs to your mother. Right here. You sent this to her. And what'd you say? Something along the lines of, no wonder he can barely stand up or walk. Look at that. And your mother, being smart and intelligent and the smartest woman in the room, she didn't do anything about that? Didn't think about taking him to the doctor? Didn't think about, we have to give him some more food, like seriously now? Instead, what do you think she did? She gave him less and more punishment. Until what? He ends up dead. And what did she tell the police? He was always wearing baggy clothes, so I didn't notice anything until last night. Another just blatant lie. Another blatant lie. If this was all an accident, why would she lie to us? If this was all an accident, why wouldn't she just say, we were having a really hard time with him, I thought he was okay. No, she knows that he looked like this. That he looked like this. Look at his face right there. That's not who your brother looked like, is it?
No.
He didn't look like that. Does that look like it? That looks like somebody in a casket that you see at a funeral. That's what that looks like. And it's sickening and disgusting. And you sent this picture to her too, didn't you? You sent that to her, didn't you?
Yeah.
You sent that to her on July 5th. Right before the day leading up to him being found dead. Does he look like he's okay right there?
No.
Why'd you send that picture?
I was concerned.
Yeah, once again, you're not the smartest person in the room and you're concerned. Did she do anything about it? No, you know what she said? He's going to sleep in the bath all night tonight. He's sleeping in the bath all night tonight. The smartest woman in the room. He's getting in the bathtub all night for punishment. And make sure the shower curtain's away so I can see him. And what happens later on that night? At some point between the time this picture is sent and the time you wake up in the morning, he dies. Because he's alive right here, right?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
He's alive. Did she tell you to snap him and see if he blinks? Or is that a different time?
That was...
Is that this time or a different time? You smack him in the face to see if he's faking it?
I was trying to see what was going on, trying to see if he would even respond if what was going on with him.
Because to you, not the smartest person in the room, to you, you already know. This isn't okay. This is a dying person. This is your brother dying. Ooh, sorry about that. This is your brother. And he's almost dead.
Another
And
thing,
so she
I kept
drags him.
setting him up,
Yeah.
and I would come back a little later and I would notice that he actually had moved himself back down. I wasn't sure if it was intentional or if he was trying to clear up his airway maybe.
But just move it. Well, what is that supposed to mean? Well, he must be okay because he moved a little bit? That's where we're at?
I wasn't
He's
sure about
so far gone that you're like questioning if he moves a little bit, he must be okay? Come on.
I wasn't sure.
Where did that stuff come from? Where did that come from? Didn't your mother send you messages that said, I saw him move? I saw him. Did she send that to you?
Yes.
Then what does that mean to her? That it's fake? Is this fake to you?
No.
Is your brother lying on the floor dead? Is that fake to you?
No.
You know who it didn't matter to at all? You know who I didn't see shed a single tear the whole day I was there? Your mom. Did you see her cry a real tear?
Yes.
I saw a whole bunch of fake. You know what my job is to see? Fake. You know what I saw a whole bunch of? Fake. Because at the end of the day, your brother gone, that's a problem for her that's gone. She never was trying to solve this problem. She was never trying to make him into this perfect person because she's smart enough to know that isn't going to happen.
Sadly, Timothy's story is far too common. Many special needs children are treated in such a way because their family finds them inconvenient.
He's never going to be you. He's never going to be Gabriel because he has too many problems. He's not going to be that. She's smart enough to know that. That's how we ended up here. The smartest woman in the room took advantage of you. And she asked you to do these things over and over and over again. And this is the woman you're sitting here saying she cares so much. Does she really though? She asked you to handcuff your brother, pour hot sauce in his mouth. She asked you to pour hot sauce on his penis. Your mother asked you to do those things. Because she cares so much. She put you in that spot. And now you're right in the middle of an investigation in which your brother died. And this is criminal. This is a crime. Did your brother deserve to die?
No.
Should he be dead right now?
No.
Is he dead by the choices of others?
Yeah.
Who made those choices? Who made the choices for him to be dead right now? Did you make some of those choices?
No.
Who made those choices?
Mama?
Yeah. She did, didn't she? That's what's real. That's what's real. Now, did you do some of the things she asked you to do?
Yes.
Absolutely you did.
Because I thought
And does that put you
knew what was best.
Does that put you in the wrong? Doing those things?
Does it?
It does. It puts you in the wrong.
Yeah.
It does.
Because
But you thought she knew what was best. You just said, I heard you say it.
I thought she knew it. I thought maybe it would somewhere would change.
Because she's smart, right? And she knows what she's talking about, and she loves you, all of you, and she cares all about all of you. But when you really step back and you look at yourself and Gabriel and Timothy, were all three of you treated the same?
No.
Was one of you treated like, who really cares? Who really cares? Punish him, punish him, punish him, punish him. Ice bath, hot sauce, handcuffs, closet. He lived in a closet. You said he spent most of his day in a closet, peeing on himself, pooping on himself, eating only bread, sometimes only with hot sauce on it. It's the hottest hot sauce you can get your hands on. That's life. He's probably relieved that he's dead. He's probably relieved because that's torture. He was tortured by you guys for months. Tortured. Why? Because he was different than you guys? Because he couldn't follow directions? Because he couldn't follow your mom's rules? Is that why? He stole food? Is it that big of a deal? Is this food worth killing somebody over?
No.
That's what happened here. Over stealing food and not following rules. You said that your dad's very controlling. You know who was also very controlling? Your mom's controlling you without you even knowing it. That's narcissistic. Your mom controlled you and you had no idea. You thought all this stuff you were doing was for your brother. This is going to be better for my brother. This is what's best for my brother. Those are the things you came in here saying. Is that real?
I don't know what is or isn't anymore.
It doesn't seem real to me. It doesn't seem real to me at all. Did you ever hate your brother?
I did.
Yeah.
But every time I would come back, I would apologize. The bruises on him were not me. I know that much. If it was anywhere, it was here. And never, there was a spot here, but that was from when he was a child. I think, I'm not sure which parent it was, in his crib. He was laid there while his head was still fresh.
Okay.
And so that scar on the back of his head is...
That's an old scar.
Very, basically birth.
When was the last time you hit him?
Probably the 5th when I was trying to see if he would respond.
Okay. And where was that at?
That was while he was, I think, in the tub.
But where did you hit him at? Like on the side of his face?
Yeah.
Did you ever like to smack him or what kind of hits?
It was sometimes this, and I think once or twice it was, it wasn't like full force, but it was like to try to see if he would respond.
Did you ever punch him in the head?
No.
Because there's some evidence that somebody hit him in the head pretty hard.
Where? Is his skull? Because I know that would never, I would never try to actually injure him at those points.
What happened? How did he get that injury in his head? Did you hit him once a little harder than you maybe wanted to? It's okay, man.
Yeah, I remember I kept trying to pick him up after I got him out of the closet, and I think at one point he actually scratched where I pulled away, and he fell, and I think it happened several times, like he was trying to get out of my reach.
Yeah. When was kind of the last time you like really hit his head hard or something?
I think it was, I was trying to get him into the bath for the ice bath thing. And yeah, he sort of, I thought he squirmed, but maybe it was something else. I don't know, but he slipped out of my hand and hit his head on the ground. But
what part of his head did he hit?
Was it the sides? I don't know the exact region, because by the time I heard the thud, I was literally about to turn around because I had to stop for a moment to fucking breathe. I was frustrated. I was just,
listen. Let me just.
I never wanted
Let me stop first, okay? But the injury to his head, that's not what killed him, okay?
Okay.
But what killed him was not eating.
He starved.
But when we talk about this injury to his head, I just need to know the truth of what really happened, because what you're telling me doesn't make a lot of sense. What really happened to his head? The medical people, there's a medical examiner in Kalamazoo, that isn't what caused it, but that was there. They just noted that, so I'm just curious what really happened.
I don't know.
Was there like a hard punch or something when you were mad at him?
If I ever was smacking over the head, it was with an open palm. I never closed my fist.
Maybe like on this one day when you wouldn't?
No.
There's never one time where you hit him in the head?
No.
With a fist?
I would long to, but I would walk away because I knew that if I did something like that, I would not only regret it, but if I knew that if something like this had happened and I had never even been able to apologize.
Right. So where did he hit his head at? You have to remember. You said it was just a couple days ago. Where did he hit his head at?
I think each time, I'm not sure. I know at one point, I think once it was on a side, another time it was the other side. I'm not sure if there was any in the back, but because
where are you hitting his head? Like
normally it was right here for me.
Okay.
Just either side a little.
Was there ever a time where you were so mad that maybe you lost a little bit and hit him harder than that? Because this is a serious injury.
I wouldn't hurt him
not
like that. No, not even if it was
on purpose.
I wouldn't. If it was accidental that it happened, I don't think I would have even realized at this point until someone had probably told me.
Did you ever see your mom hit him?
No. She never raised a hand to him that I know of.
Okay. Did she ever ask you to hit him? Or ever ask you to punish him physically?
No.
By hurting him like with fists or anything like that?
No.
So what's your best guess on how this injury happened to his head? This is a severe injury, so it's not this. It's not a slap, not even a hard slap.
If it wasn't from hitting his head on the floors and...
What part of his head hit the floor? That's what I don't understand.
It might have been the back at one point, but the thing is that when he was on the ground, his head would constantly loll to the side. So if it was...
After, how long was it like that where it would loll to the side? After he hit his head, or?
And barely moments after this when he fell.
Okay. Do you think of anything else about this?
I don't know. I just feel like I could have done something. I should have put my foot down at some point. I loved him so much.
What would have happened with your mom if you put your foot down? What would have happened?
I don't know. Maybe something would have been different. Maybe he would still be alive. I promised him before the whole thing with Mama and Dad that I would protect him, but I failed so hard. I failed.
I'm gonna step out for just a second, okay? I'll be right back. Do you need anything? Do you need to use the restroom? Do you need a drink of water?
Do you have something that I could snack on?
Yeah, I'll try
I have slight hypoglycemia problems.
So what type of snack are we talking? Like chips or a little... I don't know what's okay for you.
Really anything that's...
Okay.
Maybe chips, yeah. Something with salt, too.
Ferguson admits to striking Timothy, but claims that he didn't intend to hurt him. Given everything else he has done, the detective probably doesn't believe him. Paul Ferguson was found guilty of first-degree child abuse and is sentenced to 30 to 100 years in prison. Upon sentencing, the judge declared that he believed Ferguson was a psychopath and would be a danger if he were to be released. If you enjoyed this video and want to support me further, there's a Patreon link in the description where you can do just that. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.